it seems to be working. So how have you been able to manage, especially the aspect of reintegration? Because all other steps are easy, from my own view, that is, but getting people who at a point have taken up arms against their brothers and sisters, coming back to live in the same communities, how has the committee, empowered by the governor, been able to manage this aspect of this program?
The most important thing is, before we come up as a committee, the federal government itself has set up, the Operation Safe Corridor, managed by the military under the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff. And, they were handling cases of the DDR too. But when we set up a committee as a state, we have to liaise with them, because already they have facilities to manage, the insurgents, not the surrounded insurgents, those who have been, arrested by the military. And our own case is a different case from theirs, because our own is the insurgents are surrendering to the state directly.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
First of all, we want to congratulate you and the state government for what's been done thus far. We read a report by UNDP where they actually testified that they want to copy what has now been referred to as the Borno Model as regards issue of reintegration and the rehabilitation and reintegration of people who before have been enemies of the state but have decided, for whatever reason, to down their arms and come back to their communities. Borno Model has been spoken of very highly in very important places, and so we want to congratulate the state government on this. But having this opportunity to speak with you, the first question I would like to ask is, briefly talk to us about what led to the idea of the Borno Model and how effective has it been so far in contributing to the relative peace that the state and the region now witnesses.
Thank you so much. And before I go on your question, I want to thank you for acknowledging what the government have been doing and even having interest in this Borno Model issue. The most important thing is, as a government, the government of Professor Babagana Umar Zulu, when we came in our first time, we started looking to inwards. What do we do towards the insurgency, the whole issue at hand? As of then, we look at the possibilities of bringing these people onto the table so that we can discuss with them and see if they can lay their arms down and embrace peace so that we can be together. That's the most important thing. And from a lot of angles, they too wanted to come out from the bush and surrender. So we invited stakeholders, including the security agencies, and we discussed at length. Some people supported the idea. Some of them, have some resentment, and some people outrightly, kicked against that idea. But as a sensitive government, and we know what it takes because we've been there, and we know what is happening in this state. So we believe peace is the most important thing. At no cost, you just have to do something to bring back peace in the state. So we opened up channel of communication, and they started, coming out to surrender. So we were not in there initially. We thought it's something that is just, a few people coming out maybe to surrender. But along the line, the number of people coming out is so overwhelming. So we have to the governor have to set up a committee, to start looking into how we can rehabilitate these people, how we can reintegrate them, how we, even the military themselves started believing in the whole peace process. So at the end of the day, it became something very successful. And a lot of people were keen and interested in how does this thing happen. So we started, we have a lot of development partners who are interested to come in, and join hands with Borno State Government on the rehabilitation issue. So we sat as a government, we draw, some points and look at whom among our partners that are relevant to the DDR program in terms of shelter, in terms of rehabilitation, social support, and whatever. And now we look at the ministry that we have, especially the Ministry of Water, Women Affairs, handling the issues of, children and women among the surrounded insurgents. And also we look at a lot of ministries and they involve them in the committee. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth and Poverty. A lot of ministries are involved from some MDS to Justice too. So when the committee was set up, I was, the governor nominated me to be the chairman of that committee, and we kicked into. We didn't allow time to lapse. We just swing into action and started working as a team. And every situation has its own peculiarity. Our own case is different from the other world. It has happened in Kigali. It has happened in Somalia. It has happened in Colombia. So we have to study a lot of situations in the outer world to see how best, they've, handle such crisis. And also our international partners too have been helpful in that area because they've sponsored a lot of our people, traditional rulers, religious leaders, to go out to other places to see how, cases have been settled on the transitional justice system. And that even convinced a lot of our traditional rulers and religious leaders to, have faith in such process, because in the first place, they too have some resentment but they want to comment, but they are not convinced. And also, in the DDR program, it's not something that you have to do it in a day. It has span, and it has a lot of process. Because one, you are dealing with crimes that have been tagged internationally as terrorism. One, the federal government is there too, and the state are the receiving end, and we have to work with all these agencies and other authorities to see how we harmonize everything to be one, so that at the end of the day, all what we are doing will have acceptance, and it will be based on international based practices of handling DDR program, and because we are facing two things: humanitarian crisis and also the terrorism. So we are at the same time we are trying to kill two birds with one stone, because we are resettling our internally displaced persons due to the insurgency, and at the other hand we are trying to rehabilitate our surrounded insurgents, and it's a huge demand on the government of the state.
Very huge. One unique thing about the Borno model that I have read is that for other places that you've mentioned, it is after the crisis.
Yeah.
But for Borno State, you have an ongoing crisis, and you now have a government that says, look, we still have to adopt this, and it seems to be working. So how have you been able to manage, especially the aspect of reintegration? Because all other steps are easy, from my own view, that is, but getting people who at a point have taken up arms against their brothers and sisters, coming back to live in the same communities, how has the committee, empowered by the governor, been able to manage this aspect of this program?
The most important thing is, before we come up as a committee, the federal government itself has set up, the Operation Safe Corridor, managed by the military under the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff. And, they were handling cases of the DDR too. But when we set up a committee as a state, we have to liaise with them, because already they have facilities to manage, the insurgents, not the surrounded insurgents, those who have been, arrested by the military. And our own case is a different case from theirs because our own is the insurgents are surrendering to the state directly. So we have to engage them, the SSS, the police, and other agencies, so that they will be part of the whole process because you have to screen them first if they come. And if you are screening the insurgents, you have to involve the traditional rulers or their religious leaders so that they are the people to identify them in their locality. Yes, this person belongs to so community, yes. And also, they knew their level of involvement in the insurgency. This is the only way you can identify a person who is, forcefully encrypted, or a person who is, a farmer, or a person who is an insurgent, who is, a fighter. And in this process, we have to have data of those who have participated in the insurgency, those who are forcefully encrypted, and also we have to do it based on gender aggregation. So at the end of the day, we know number of unaccompanied children, women, widows, and the married insurgents themselves. Some of them have 2-3 wives. So like the Chibok girls now, some of them have, different husbands. Maybe after their husband died, they remarried them to, another insurgent. So at the end of the day, you can see a Chibok girl now coming out with 4 to 5 children. At the end of the day, all of these children are fathered by different father. So this it's not a simple process. So we have to, screen, have data, and also after that, you have to, do a psychosocial support for those who are part of the insurgency in a way whereby they are forcefully encrypted. Because at the end of the day, you have to prepare their mind before even reintegrating them back to the site. 1. Number 2, you have to have the consent of the community first to accept even these people who are not perpetrators, and even the perpetrators themselves. But the perpetrators themselves, you have to use the transitional justice system, and that is what we are still working on. All of them are still in holding with us, but most of the people integrated back are those who are, we call them farmers, forcefully encrypted, like the widows and unaccompanied children, for example. But the major perpetrators are still in holding because we have to look at the justice system. And also, even if they themselves, when you tell them that they should go back to the community, they will not even accept it without, coming up with a reconciliatory committee. So on our committee level now, this is what we are working on. We've taken a lot of our traditional rulers, our religious leaders to Colombia, to Kigali, Rwanda, so that they will study the transitional justice system, so that by the time we want to implement it in our Borno model, it will not be a problem for us. And we have achieved a lot on that too, because we want to now set up, as soon as we will set up the committee at local government level for the reconciliations, where all the emirs and district heads were trained already by the Ministry of Women Affairs. And, we know you have to sensitize people. And also we are having challenges as a government, because as a government, you cannot concentrate only on the surrendered insurgents. Because at the end of the day, people will feel your attention is always on the insurgents. What of the victims? So we are taking the data of the victim affected by insurgency too, so that government can see how we can, help them also, and, sensitize them on the way, and we want to convince them so that they can believe that reconciliation is the best, process for us to end this insurgency.
Okay. My colleague has a question, but before then, so that I don't lose this strain, you mentioned one of the highlights of insurgency in the Northeast, which is the Chibok girls.
Yeah.
And just some months back, 10 years, the 10th anniversary was, commemorated. And the question I want to ask is, what is the fate of Chibok girls? Is there still hope of their return as we speak?
So far, we have received a lot of them, and we still have hope because, the Chibok girls too, actually, we have some certain scenarios on their returns because they've been married out, to their husbands. And actually, when we receive such cases, you will see that normally you'll be thinking that this is a girl that has been separated from her parents for the past, 10 years. At the end of the day, you have the perception that by the time she's reunited with her family, as in, she'll be happy to join them back in Chibok and start a normal life. But surprisingly, you see, most of them, they're happy to see their parents, but at the end of the day, they still have, feelings for their husbands out there and the father of their children. So they will still come back to you and start complaining that, yes, they are, they want to see their husbands, they want to see the father of their children. And so at the end of the day, the government is still taking care of them. And, it's not their fault. But at the end of the day, even the stigmatization too is one of the things that the government is trying to, shield them from. Because at the end of the day, if you took them back to Chibok, they will go. But after 2-3 days, they will tell you they want to go back because of maybe some 1 or 2 issues happening. But they prefer staying here. We have a place that we're keeping them, and they are well taken care of by the ministry. The Commissioner of Women Affairs is trying, and they too, they're behaving well. But handling their issues too is another different problem, because how do you imagine, having a lady coming with 4 children, having all the children having different fathers, But it's, anyway, we'll get to it there, inshallah. We'll get over it.
Yes, sir. Just back to the Borno Model. I'm concerned about the skills training program or professional trainings for those insurgents that are surrounded. What is in the plan or the model for these people? When you integrate them, they need to be skillful so that they will live on as professional people in the society.
Thank you for this question. I believe you have not visited one of our camps. If not, this question wouldn't have arisen, because if you have visited our holding areas, you can see we have outlined a lot of skills that are training. We are doing training in the camps. We have different camps: the Hajj camp and the Bulunkutu. And what will interest you, as I want you to know that now we have harmonized even the whole process with the federal government. Borno State Government and Operation Safe Corridor are working hand in hand. They have a facility that trains like about 14 trades, I think, at their facility at Malam City in Gombe State. So right now, I'm talking to you, just discussed with the commissioner. We have team coming from the Chief of Defense Staff's office. We want to give them 300 700 insurgents that will be going to Malam City for training, so that they will learn different trades. And here too, in our holding areas, we have learning areas that we teach them how to learn some trades. So we are working on that seriously with our international partners, and it has been yielding a lot of results, because by the time they learn, we give them a starter pack, and on the reintegration, we send them back to the their communities as a trained, skilled people. And after that too, we have feedback mechanisms that we use to get feedback from how they are doing in the community. So it's not it's a process, it's a whole process. That is why we call it now the Borno Model, so that at the end of the day, people can copy from what we've been doing in the state. But believe you me, if you go around and see things for yourself, you will know that it's an integrated process that we've been doing in the DDR in the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We sincerely appreciate your time, and we hope that Borno returns to the old days